Good afternoon. Thanks for watching CBS News 24/7. I'm Lindsey and we're following breaking news out of Capitol Hill, where in just a few moments, Darline Graham will be sworn in as U.S. Senator, replacing her brother Lindsey Graham, who died unexpectedly on Saturday. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster appointed Darline Graham to serve as interim senator Monday afternoon. She'll fill the role until at least January 3rd, when a new Congress convenes. A special primary will be held on August 11th to choose the Republican nominee for November's general election. During yesterday's announcement, Darline Graham called it a, quote, privilege to finish her brother's work. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us now from South Carolina. So, Nikole, Lindsey Graham became his younger sister's legal guardian after both of their parents died. Not a fact that everybody knew until we were learning more about him over the weekend. How significant is it that she's now stepping into this role?
Well, look, I think many people see this as a fitting tribute to the late senator. In fact, President Trump was one of the ones who recommended Darline Graham for this role, calling her a fantastic and fitting tribute to the late senator. Of course, there are others like Senator Tim Scott, as well as the governor of South Carolina, Henry McMaster, who also spoke with Darline Graham ahead of this announcement and also felt that she would be the best choice. As you mentioned, she will simply be a placeholder for her brother, serving out the remainder of his term through January. There is expected to be a special election here in the state next month where individuals can run to try to serve out the full 6-year term, because at the end of the day, Lindsey Graham was on the ballot this November in the upcoming midterm. So there does need to be a special election to replace him on the ballot there. But that being said, I was at that announcement yesterday at the state capitol right behind me, and she was quite emotional. This was the first time we had heard from Darline Graham. She thanked people for their well wishes in light of her brother's death, and said, that she was ready to do this for him. She was ready to carry out his work because he was there for her. So now this was her time to be there for him, particularly in light of the fact that he took a pretty strong hand in helping to raise her when she was just a young teen. Their parents died a little over a year apart, and so it was Lindsey Graham who took legal guardianship of her, and so their bond has remained very close ever since. Lindsey.
What more are you hearing, Nikole, from South Carolinians?
Well, look, I think there is a lot of speculation and anticipation for this primary election that will be coming up because, again, whoever assumes this seat, whether Republican or Democrat, has huge shoes to fill in the eyes of many South Carolinians. I mean, look, Lindsey Graham represented this state for decades, not only in the Senate, but remember, he also served in the House. He served in the State House right behind me. So he has a very long political legacy here in this state. And I think what you hear consistently from individuals, whether Democrat or Republican, they simply knew him as Lindsey, someone who really cared about the community and who was there for their needs.
All right, let's go ahead and listen as the swearing-in ceremony begins.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God.
I do.
We did just witness the swearing in of Darline Graham. And Nicole, if you're still with me, we had Chuck Grassley delivering that oath. We had her flanked by South Carolina Senator Tim Scott and Alabama Senator Katie Britt. What more do we know about Katie, the senators' meetings, rather, with Darline Graham ahead of this?
Yeah, that's right. Well, those two senators did meet with Darline Graham ahead of her swearing in. Simply to, welcome her. Obviously, she knows Senator Tim Scott very well. Katie Britt, of course, said that she had just spoken with Senator Lindsey Graham over the weekend. So this was really just about kind of extending some hospitality to this newest senator who will now represent her late brother. And I have to imagine it may be a little emotional for a lot of those senators in that room. You heard that applause when she was sworn in. But keep in mind, there is black bunting draped over Senator Graham's desk with white roses, or at least there was as of Monday, which is traditionally how those lawmakers and senators who pass away, how they are being honored. So to have to step into that chamber under those circumstances, very solemn circumstances, is really a lot to take in. And quite frankly, a lot of these senators are still processing this. We continue to hear an outpouring of tributes on the Senate floor. Senator John Barrasso, the Senate GOP whip, the number 2 Republican in the Senate, delivered a pretty lengthy tribute this morning about how he and Senator Graham had traveled together. And again, as I mentioned earlier, whether you're talking about Democrat or Republican, it seems everyone has a story about Lindsey Graham, how they were able to work with him, how he made them smile, and how he was just passionate about the job and representing the people of South Carolina and this country.
Nikole Killion, thank you so much. And as we watch the playback here of that swearing in, let's go now to CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small. Torian, one can only imagine what's going through her mind. Her brother, beloved brother, having died so unexpectedly Saturday, and now she is thrust into this new environment, this new role. Looks like some other senators there are entering the floor there to possibly welcome her. I'm not sure that a congratulations is necessarily the right way to describe this, given her heartache. But what kind of reception is she getting?
Yeah, I mean, as we see it play out on the floor there and leading up to it, we've heard from lawmakers who said that they want to open her with welcome arms or welcome her with open arms. I think it's also touching the speech that she gave yesterday during her appointment ceremony, where she said that she was doing this for her brother. I think towards the end of her speech, she said, she's going to do this for him, and she got this. And she also opened with a bit of levity. There was a moment during the governor's speech or remarks where he misspoke and said Senator Graham was irresistible instead of irreplaceable. Seemingly, that's what he wrote in his notes. She came up to the podium saying that she's never heard anyone call her brother irresistible. But the task that she's looking forward to or ahead to now is serving essentially as a placeholder for Senator Lindsey Graham. She'll be a crucial vote for this already thin majority that Republicans on this side of the Hill hold, as well as she'll be welcome to choose some committees that fit her interests. The thing, though, that I want to underscore is that she's now essentially, for all intents and purposes, a freshman member. She doesn't have the same influence as Lindsey once had here on the Hill. She certainly won't have the same rank on his respective committees. He was the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee or Budget Committee. She won't be that, certainly. But that's now up in leadership's hands to choose how those would be reshuffled in Senator Graham's absence.
And as we're watching this live picture here, Torian, I saw a bipartisan coalition there of people. I saw Amy Klobuchar, Andy Kim, I saw John Thune, I saw Adam Schiff. Now, it's not clear if they're waiting to speak with her or if they're sort of milling about. But one theme that we have seen is the bipartisan condolences since Graham's passing, and some anecdotes of how he was able to work across the aisle. Who are some possible contenders who could end up running in the primary to replace him? And would we sort of see that same attitude given our current climate.
Yeah, and just to lay it out here, July 21st through the 28th is that filing date for potential hopefuls to replace him on the November ballot to file for. We've already heard from a number of lawmakers at least floating their interest in it, including Congresspeople Nancy Mace and Ralph Norman, all saying that they are now interested after they unsuccessfully ran for governor in the state. We do have a new reporting from CBS News. Two sources familiar say that President Trump had privately conveyed interest in backing Representative Russell Fry from South Carolina as a potential replacement for Graham on the ballot in November. But again, as this shapes up, there are a number of people who have least expressed interest in this. One that we asked about is the current Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott on CBS News 24/7 this week. She was pretty coy about whether or not she would be throwing her hat in the race, but she was also one of those contenders who unsuccessfully ran for governor this past primary. So we'll see how this shapes out. But July 21st is the main date that voters should know about. And then ultimately, a special election will happen sometime in August, Lindsey.
Torian Small, thank you so much. And we are going to continue to monitor the floor here. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching CBS News 24/7, the #1 free streaming news service in America.